can you talk about the success of the franchise so far and kind of where it fits in overall within THQ on the business side?
Oh, yeah. Well, as I think everyone knows, the first game was very successful. We're very happy with that. A year ago about this time, we were all kind of thinking, hey, we really like the game, but we have no idea if it's going to sell or not. Fortunately, a lot of other people liked the game. It came out really well. So it was a really big success, obviously, for THQ. The whole industry last year was a rough year, for the industry, and that game was one of the brighter spots of the year. A new franchise launching, a new type of sports game, did very well. We've sold just past 3.5 million units so far, so we just came out as platinum, so we're still selling units, but that's a very big success, particularly in a year where the industry was having a rough time. So within our business, UFC is a very big, very important franchise. We have a number of franchises we do. We also, we have UFC, we have the WWE, we have a lot of original IP. But within the business, this is a very big, franchise for us. And, this second year, I think kind of when you start out on a franchise, you can do one game good and everyone's like, hey, that's a good game. But making a franchise out of it, you have to make major leaps. Particularly in the second year, you need to come out with a lot to say, hey, this is a different game this year. And I think we've succeeded in that. Hopefully no one will die before we finish. Kind of everyone's been going without sleep for a while, but it's come together very well and we're very excited about it.
Can you talk about the competition that you guys will be facing for the first time this year in the match with EA MMA?
Yeah. So, the EA game, we don't know much about it. I mean, probably you guys know more than we do. We just see the stuff that's been out there. It's interesting. I mean, it's kind of fun to have competition because we sit around and think, I wonder what they're going to do, and what should we do? And, always, I think competition is good. It makes you try harder, right? I mean, just like in any business. Don't really know much about the game. We think that we do a very good job at our game. I'm sure they'll do some things different because they need talent out from us, but we're pretty much focused. We make our game, and, we're the UFC game, and I think for most people, when you think MMA, it's, the UFC. We're the big leagues of MMA, and we're happy to be in that position.
And do you guys see going forward following a model similar to what you've done with WWE, where you come out with games every year, but also have the ability to add things like Pride and other types of fighting into this brand?
Can't say anything about what we might be adding in the future, but yes, our plan is to, we have a plan for an annual franchise and making major substantive changes to it over the next few years, and that's where we are now. And
what's it been like working with the UFC with integration of the game into their branding, into their production?
It's been great, and they have been, so helpful. And the UFC is kind of an exciting period in the sport. I mean, you guys talk, you talk to the fighters and all, and they're all kind of excited to be in the sport, and the UFC guys are excited that the sport is expanding. I've been a fan of MMA forever, and for me, it's just so exciting to see it becoming a big sport. So it's still a lot more kind of this feeling of people are evangelists for the sport. It's like everybody just wants the sport to succeed. Everyone wants to see it get big, and there's very little politics or anything like that. Whatever we want, the UFC will get for us, and that's great.
And can you correlate that to some of the new clothing and stuff that you guys are talking about in the new game? The integration of the different brands and clothing and stuff that you guys showed?
So we are, in the theme of being as real as it gets. All the sponsors that you will see in the real UFC, you'll also see in our game. And again, that's part of the kind of the UFC family. We want to make sure all the guys who are participating in the UFC also get in the game for their benefit and also for, the players' benefit, because you want the game to be just like the real UFC.